Hello, today is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. I'm Tony Mangino from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. In August of 2023, Verizon Business and HCL Tech announced a global strategic partnership whereby Verizon retained responsibility for sales, solutioning, and customer acquisition, and HCL Tech would handle post-sale implementation and ongoing support for Verizon's enterprise customers. It's now 2 years later, and I'm joined today by my colleagues Theresa Knutson and Brent who've been tracking this transition for an update on how the strategic partnership has impacted enterprise customers. Great to have you both here today.
Thanks, Tony. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to be here too. I think we should jump right in because there's a lot to discuss. As you mentioned at the onset, Verizon and HCL Tech have a partnership where HCL is now performing the post sale implementation and ongoing support for Verizon's enterprise customers. A little bit of background on HCL. They're headquartered in India, and while some of Verizon's US based employees were transitioned to HCL, most of this support is now being provided by HCL employees based in India. And this is a significant change, especially if you're an enterprise customer who is used to having US based post sales and ongoing support resources from Verizon.
The services that were outsourced to HCL are post-sales functions like manage network services, order management, implementation services, and operational support. These are the services that occur after a deal is signed and are critically important to the successful relationship between Verizon and their customer.
All right, so let's back this up a little bit. Why did Verizon enter into this outsourcing relationship with HCL?
You really just need to follow the money. Like all companies, Verizon improves their bottom line by cutting costs. The relationship with HCL allows Verizon to leverage HCL's lower cost and typically offshore support model. Verizon's previous support model would have been mostly US based support persons. And as we see across many businesses, they can lower their support costs by offshoring support. But the question always comes back to at what quality of support costs?
Yeah, competition is fierce. By moving post-sale support to HCL, HCL handles the heavy lifting while Verizon is focused on chasing new deals and at the same time saving Verizon.
HCL isn't a small subcontractor. Gartner recognizes HCL in the voice of the customer reports for IT services, including managed network services and digital workplace outsourcing. On paper, the partnership looks great, blending Verizon's network scale and HCL support expertise.
Verizon has really taken a huge risk here. They've basically put their entire enterprise customer satisfaction at the hands of a partner. Verizon ultimately relies on renewals of contracts with existing customers and references from existing customers to win new business. So their enterprise customers have to be happy. But in our collective experience at TC2, with many, many years of negotiating deals, a key differential between suppliers is often the service and support provided by account teams. And while the sales support is retained by Verizon, all of their services are basically outsourced to HCL.
How's the partnership performing for customers?
Here's where it gets a little tricky. There are really no formal customer surveys or satisfaction reports that specifically tied to this partnership. Nobody's published hard data on how enterprise customers feel. However, what we do have is we've informally spoken with some of our top clients about their experiences as it relates to this new HCL support model. And I'm going to pass this back to Theresa to provide some of that direct feedback.
Oh my gosh, the direct feedback was overwhelming. And we got feedback from several of our large Fortune 100 level enterprise customers. And this support model is not working. I mean, there's basically two models from Verizon for post sales and ongoing support. Historically, there was the support that was provided at no incremental cost to customers. The overhead was really built into the price of the underlying service. But as a result of Verizon like thinning out their account teams and over the past few years, and Verizon pushing customers to use their portal like VEC for more self-service, or even to a paid support model whereby customers were required to incrementally pay for this support. I mean, think of in terms of like a PMO. These costs are not insignificant. And so this enterprise customers need this service and support in order to effectively use and get the value out of Verizon services. But this paid for service model requires customers to sign contracts with commitments, typically 2 to 3 years. And sometimes there's a supported detailed SOW. Sometimes there's not much documentation about what that paid support provides. But under the paid support model, customers should absolutely have a say in the numbers, the types, and location of resources assigned to them. And that needs to be clearly articulated in the underlying contract.
The support under both of these models has been outsourced to HCL.
Yeah, both of these. And I have a great example here. I have a client who's been paying for support from Verizon for years, and they actually highly valued the support that was delivered by that named Verizon resource who is based in the US. The person acted as an extension of my client's team. They were uber responsive. They followed up. They knew the client's business. This person was abruptly removed in the fourth quarter of 2024 and was replaced by an HCL resource with very little, if any, transition. So fast forward, my client is no longer satisfied with the support. And keep in mind, they're paying a premium for the support. They've put HCL on a performance improvement plan, and likely they'll cancel this paid support service as the value proposition has been decimated. And worse yet, for this client, the cost of the support did not decrease when the resource was swapped out. They're paying the same high value price for subpar support versus what they previously enjoyed and valued. So this is really a recipe for disaster. And this same sentiment was echoed by several of our large Fortune 100 clients.
Theresa, it sounds definitely like a complicated picture here.
And I'm going to jump in here, Tony. Yeah, you not only have the hiccups that occur with any support transition, you also have the simple loss of tribal knowledge of how you operate and interact, especially from suppliers and customers that have been together for quite some time. So for many of our customers, they've lost that security blanket of knowing who to reach out to when you have a problem and knowing that that person will know them and how to get their issue resolved. So losing that tribal knowledge and trying to redevelop it with a whole new set of people doesn't happen with the snap of your fingers. It can take years, and what we're hearing so far now is that it isn't happening very well at all.
Yeah, the feedback we've gathered is that almost all of the resources were swapped out for less experienced ones. One client actually had to negotiate strongly to hang on to key named resources in their PMOs. We've seen back office teams replaced that are slow to respond to basic issues that take months. And recently, this past week, I've been on calls with HCL where the network connectivity is so poor, I can't even clearly hear what the HCL resources are saying.
What's the verdict right now?
From an enterprise customer perspective, the results have not been good. Support transition has not been seamless, and customers are frustrated to the point that they'll look for alternatives if Verizon and HCL can improve this service and meet their service expectations.
We understand that transitions are hard, but they've had 2 years to iron out the kinks in deploying these services. And as Brent mentioned, the feedback we're getting is not good. I think only when the sales team starts feeling it in terms of loss of business, meaning lost commissions and reported revenues that Verizon has to Wall Street decline, that only then will things change.
We'll be hosting a future podcast that provides advice on how to address these issues. Whether you're renewing your existing contract or competitively bidding services in the marketplace, we'll have some good recommendations to share.
And we'll also share some more commentary from clients around these service and support issues that they've experienced. And it's not just a Verizon issue. Today's call is particularly focused on Verizon and HCL, but we're seeing a similar trend with other suppliers in terms of skinnying down their account teams and lessening the support that enterprise customers used to enjoy.
Thanks, Theresa and Brent. This is definitely one area to watch closely. And to our listeners, if you would like to learn more about what the Verizon HCL partnership might mean for your enterprise, or if you'd like to discuss other technology strategy, sourcing, and cost reduction needs with Theresa, Brent, me, or any of our TC2 and LB3 colleagues, please don't hesitate to give us a call or shoot us an email. You can also stay current by subscribing to Staying Connected, by checking out our websites, and by following us on LinkedIn.